Podcast 49, the Stone Roadie Show. Hello there, welcome. Looky here. My name is Craig Reed, aka the Stone Roadie, and tonight we're going to continue with podcast number 48 with Griff Martin on the road with Gene ODOM. Tonight they're going to finish up and talk about the gate out at Gary's house that was in St. Augustine with the Confederate flag on it. And then they're going to go over to where Alan Collins wrecked his car and became paralyzed. And then Gene's going to tell a couple of stories how the coach, Lynyrd Skynyrd, and the band, Lynyrd Skynyrd, actually both tried to kill him at one point or another. So let's move right along to Griff Martin on the road with Gene ODOM in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay, Griff Martin out in the field for the Stone Roadie Show on assignment with Craig Reed, and I'm riding around with Gene ODOM. And Gene just dropped me off because I wanted to show you guys Gary Rossington's old gate entrance. And as you can see, there's an old rebel flag, or it's an old rebel flag in this iron gate. And they hung an American flag over the top of it. So that's Gary Rossington's original gate. And there's an American flag on top of it. I guess maybe there's some people complaining about it. And it took us a little while to find Gary's old place, but Gene remembered. So Gene dropped me off here. That's what it looked like. A little behind the scenes Lynyrd Skynyrd trivia. All right, this is part 2 of the hanging out with Gene, and he just dropped me off right here, and he just went by. He's going to turn around so we don't draw any gawkers at me videoing this. But this location right here is a lot of people don't know, is where Alan Collins got paralyzed. He hit this culvert right here, and I guess he was coming in this direction, and not too many people know where this spot is. And this is the area right here, and you'd think it would have been something like a bigger ditch. It got filled in some over the years, and he was coming down the road from this direction, went around that curve, and then he I guess he was probably doing what he does, and speeding and reckless driving like Alan Collins did, and he went off the road and he hit that culvert right there. And it was either him or the girl that was with him that got ejected from the vehicle. But that's where Alan Collins got paralyzed. So there's another little tidbit of information for the Stoned Roadie Show. All right, we're back on the Craig Reed podcast in the field with Gene ODOM, and we're just wrapping the day up here. And
we're leaving the hell house, buddy.
I'm gonna go ahead and open the screen up on the camera. It's like a rocket scientist would, and I'm gonna ask Gene a question here. We're in the car riding back home from, just left the Hell House property. So Gene, whenever you were growing up there, and you and Ronnie were little kids, and you guys used to hang out riding bicycles and stuff, and we were talking about we were going through that neighborhood, and what the hell would Ronnie think? At that time had no idea, knowing that one day he was going to have all these streets in the neighborhood named after songs he wrote, and all of his songs are going to be all over the world being played. When was it you found out that Ronnie was so well known as an artist and a writer in a rock and roll band?
It was in '76 that I realized that they were getting bigger. I didn't know how big they were at the time until he came by the house, and we went fishing, and he says, "What you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm laid off a week or two till some work starts up, iron working, you know, you between jobs." He said, "Hey man, we got about a week's tour lined up, 10 shows or something like that, 7 or 10 shows, whatever. Northeast, it's just wintertime, winter of '76. He says, come on out with me, man. Come on, I'll show you what's going on." So we got went up north, and the bus riding from gig, hotel to the gig. It was, you know, snow, cold as hell. And I seen people at this one show we went to, 20 miles away from the show, the stadium thing, standing in the snow up to their knees with signs that said, "Tickets, we need tickets. Have your ticket for sale? We need tickets." And I'm thinking, 20 miles away in the snow trying to want to buy a ticket, you know? And I went, "Golly, this is," and I said, "Man alive." He said, "Yeah, Gene," he said, "Man, we've gotten a lot bigger than the last time you saw us." You know, and I said, "Damn, I can't believe this." So then at the shows, I seen how big they had gotten, how big they were getting. And we did the week's tour. And so we came home, and he says, "Lord, Griff, put that back down a little bit. I can't see nothing. I don't want to kill none of these people on the road here." What was he talking about? I'm working that down, Joe Biden.
Talking about what the people standing in the snow, and they were.
I was amazed at how many people sold out. They were sold out. The shows were sold out. Wow, didn't I realize how big my fishing buddy was. And coming home, he went, "Man, I want you to work for me. I'm making good money now, big money. I need my personal bodyguard. I need my fishing buddy. I want you to be my bodyguard." I said, "Man, I don't know about that. You know, I'll have iron working. I'm already halfway there. I'll have a pension 10 years. I can retire. You know, I'll have a pension. You hippies break up all the time. You dope heads and hippies and drunks, band members break up and everything." And he said, "No, man." He says, "We going to Europe." He said, get your passport. Get your passport. We're going to Europe. You can go with us, and I want you to work for me. I want you to be my bodyguard." I said, "Man," I said, "Number one, I can't go to Europe right now because I got a union lawsuit I'm involved in. I can't go." It's all right. Well, we're going to Europe. I'll see you when I get back. So when I came back from Europe, he came by the house, and at that, I think I was still laid off or just got laid off again. And he said, "You working?" I said, "No, man." He says, "All right, I'll be back in a minute." So he goes, takes off, and he comes back with $1,000, 10 $100 bills, and he sticks them in my pocket. He says, "Catch your bills up, man. You're on the payroll. You're my bodyguard as of today. You're on the payroll." You know, and so that was just how I became.
And that was what year was that?
That was January or February '77. And so, what was I going to say? Dadgummit. I became an employee of Lynyrd Skynyrd Inc. And when he comes back to me, comes back and can't get back in touch with me. Well, Rudge wanted to pay me. I said, "Hell no, I'm not working for you for that much money, man. I make twice as much as that iron working." I said, "I'm not going to work for you and cut my salary in half, not making money, and I have my pension." He says, "Let you take the check. You accept the checks, and I'll pay you in cash to balance out what you make as an iron worker." And he said, "So you won't lose any money working for me, and I'm gonna make you rich. You take care of me, I'll make you rich." So he started paying me in cash.
Was that Ronnie saying that or Peter Rudd?
Ronnie.
Ronnie.
And so I got my paychecks, and then he paid me in cash. And plus, we got it was $120 per diem back then. He says, you keep your per diem. You don't spend your per diem. You're all expense paid. I pay for all your expenses. So it was good money, you know, for back then in 77. So I go to work for Ronnie Skynyrd. And but the plane crashes mangled me up, and so I don't iron work for 3 years because I go through surgeries and plastic surgery and re-plastic surgery and more plastic surgery and not enough plastic surgery, but anyway. Back surgeries, neck surgery, anyway, so I go back to ironworking in 1980, and I worked to January of 1990. And I fell doing addition on the brewery in Jacksonville, and I fell, got all booed up, banged up, broke up, mangled up, broke my back, my ribs, my neck, and in the hospital, the doctors say, man, what happened to your neck and your back? You've got all this problem. I said, I was in an airplane crash 10 years ago in 1977, broke my neck, my back, broke my ribs all up, beat me up pretty bad, had a real bad head injury, and so forth and so on. So the workman's compensation deemed me uninsurable and said, you can't work anymore, you're going on Social Security. I said, nah, man, I'll heal up. The lawyer said, no, this is Florida state government, Social Security. Workman's compensation is part of the government, Florida state. And they deem you uninsurable. You're just too beat up, too banged up to work. You have to go on Social Security. So I went down to Social Security, and they already had my paperwork. The lady was cool as hell behind the computer. She said, yeah, Mr. Odom, we got all your paperwork and everything. You're totally disabled. You really can't even flip hamburgers. She said, I'm just saying that because your spine's so messed up, banged up. So you're gonna go on Social Security. So she's on the computer. Quote. She said, oh my God. And I went, what's that all about? She said, Mr. Odom, you're 40 years old, you're divorced, and your 2 children are grown. You're only going to receive 40-year-old single pension, $900 a month is what my Social Security was. So I started drawing the $900 a month, and I went to the union hall, told the business agent, here's my paperwork, Social Security paperwork, didn't get my pension started, so they call administrative services and say, Gene Odom, disabled, union number, he needs to start his pension. So they talked on the phone briefly, and he hung the phone up, he went, damn, Gene, I got bad news for you. That's all I ever get. He said, when the airplane crashed, you had 9.9 credits. You had to have 10 to be vested. And since you didn't work 80 hours within a period of 12 months, you didn't work for 3 years, you lost that 9.9 credits. So they went 10 years retirement right out the window.
Oh, shit.
Said your pension will be $377 a month. So I started drawing the 900 Social Security and 377. So when I turned 55, 15 years later, my 377 dropped to 277. So I went back to the union hall and I said, why did my check drop $100 a month? They called administrative services. Why did Gene Odom's check drop $100? They spoke briefly on the phone. He said, Gene, I got more bad news for you. I said, what's that? He said, the way the charter is written, when you're on disability and you turn 55, you automatically switch to early retirement. And by you switching to early retirement, with the credits you have, you lose $100 a month. So 21 years of ironworker pension is $277 a month. Thank God my Social Security after 32 years has went up to $1,500 a month. So working with my old fishing buddy broke me. And,
Well, only because he died.
No, not because he died, but I regret working for them because it cost me everything. It cost me my pension, you know, the Social Security, but that's not their problem. You know, I was divorced and my children were grown. But God dang, what it cost me working for the Lynyrd Skynyrd band.
But you would have probably been okay at Ronnie.
Oh,
he would have
God.
taken care of you, though.
Yeah, Lord have mercy. If he'd have lived, he'd be filthy, 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 filthy rich, and I'd probably be barely rich.
Tell me that story about how the real Lynyrd Skynyrd, well, the Lynyrd Skynyrd band tried to kill you, and then the real Lynyrd Skynyrd tried to kill you.
Oh man. Me and Lynyrd Skynyrd, coach, we hung out a lot, and we went to a couple places, you know, and we hung out a lot. But he was a coach, and he coached girls fast pitch softball. He called me up one day. He said, "Hey man, I'm gonna come pick you up. I want you to see this girl. She can throw that ball underhanded 75 miles an hour." I went, "What?" He said, "Man, come on, you can't believe it." He said, "She's amazing." So he had a little Mazda rotary car, came, a little small car, 2-seater.
The overhead cam rotary engine.
Yeah, RX-7. And so he picked me up, and we left the house, and we were gonna make a left turn on Tamaquana. And a school bus was over that way. They were gonna make a left turn and go down Tamaquana to the west, and we was gonna go east. And so Lynyrd let the school bus come on out and make his turn before he made his left turn. The school bus went out, and just as Lynyrd was making a left turn, a lady ran a red light and broadsided us and spun the car around. And I felt my neck crack. I felt my neck break. And I just grabbed my head. I went, "Dad, dang!" And Lynyrd was screaming hell at that lady. And he got out of the car, doing out there to cuss her out. A cop saw the accident was over, and he circled around and came back, turned his lights on. And I'd already called 911, told him, I said, my neck, I was in a car wreck, and I know my neck's broke. I know it. And they said, the rescue's on the way. Do you know them luck? So we sat there and sat there and sat there and sat there and sat there, and the cop was finally, his report was finished and everything. Lynyrd comes on and said, "Hey man, I got to get to work. I'm gonna take you back to your." I said, "Take me to my car."
Did he even realize that your neck was injured?
No, he said, "I got to get to work, man. I got to get to the game." I said, "I got to go to the hospital. Get me to my car." So he dropped me off, and I drove myself to the hospital, and went in there and told me I was in a car wreck, and then they x-rayed my neck. I said, "Man, your neck's broke." I said, "I know. I felt it crack." So they just put me in, turned me around, and sent me into a room, and then a little while later they came and they took me in for surgery, and they fused my neck together. So when I got out of the hospital, I went to the fire station, the closest one, and I said, and so he pulled up on the computer and he said, "Oh yeah, here's your call. You ordered the rescue unit because you said you thought your neck was broke, and we sent the rescue unit." I said, "It never showed up." He says, "Because the police officer canceled it." I said, "How in the hell can he cancel my order?" He said, "Well, if the police officer comes onto a scene and he don't think the rescue is needed, he can turn it around if it's not needed." I said, "Man, I was smoking hot." I said, "I'm gonna sue the shit out of it." He said, "Buddy," he said, "it's right here on the tape. Everything's on tape. It all falls on the police officer because he made that decision." So I went back to that right there on Landing Boulevard at the substation. Big old tall black sergeant. I said, "Man, I want to know why this police officer canceled my thing when my neck was broken." And I was in the neck brace and everything. He said, "Man, I don't know." He said, I was raising hell. I said, "Get his ass over here. I want him to tell me why he canceled my rescue unit when I got a broke neck." And he said, "Well, man, let me talk to him." So he talks to the guy outside on the phone. He comes back in. He said, I talked with him, and he said, I said, "I want his ass here. Bring him here, out in this parking lot." And he went, "Man, look here, I can't do that." He said, "I can't do that." I was mad. I said, "Listen, I want him to tell me why." And he said, "Listen, it's a training issue. He's going to have to be retrained." I said, well, he said, I ain't gonna bring him here because you're too ill. You're too mad for me to bring him here. I said, well, I guarantee you, if you bring him here, I'll get to the bottom of it. So he didn't. And I went and talked to my buddy, my lawyer, and told him, he said, shit, man, I'll sue the piss out of him. He said, that's a major lawsuit. I said, I don't want to sue him. I said, I just hope the guy learns a damn lesson. He said, man, you're a fool, Gene. He said, that's a major lawsuit right there, buddy. I regret now not doing it because I could have a little money, but that's not Gene Odom's way.
But the whole thing about Lynyrd Skynyrd didn't even realize it.
No, he was so mad. Lynyrd Skynyrd was a mean redneck. He'd fight in a minute like that. Lynyrd Skynyrd was barred from the Swamp when the FSU and the Gators played. He could go to a game in Tallahassee when the Gators played in Tallahassee, but he couldn't go to a game at the Swamp because he'd get in a fight with them Gator fans, beat the hell out of a bunch of them. Lynyrd Skynyrd was tough.
Oh yeah, he was
a redneck, college-educated redneck. I loved him. He was a great guy, but it was his way or the highway.
Did you didn't go to school where he was a coach, right?
I would have if I would have got to high school, but I was taken out of Lakeshore in the 9th grade because me and 2 other guys averaged 2.5 years older than the 9th grade student. If they were 15, we were 17 and a half, you know, or if they were 14, I don't know how old you are in the 9th grade, and I failed a couple of times early on. The hardest 3 years of my life was the 3rd grade. Jesus Christ. And so I was held back. But I wanted to go on to school and graduate and make something of myself. But Ralph Ogden was his name, the superintendent. He took us out of school. I'll never forget them boys' names. Norbert Burleson, and Dave Hollingsworth were the other 2 guys that they took out because of our age.
When was the first time you remember meeting the Lynyrd Skynyrd namesake, Lynyrd Skynyrd?
Oh my God, probably. I met him one time briefly, but I would say when we was probably at 77 when he. I met him a couple times, but he was always doing stuff that we communicated back and forth. Was probably when he opened up, right before he opened up his first bar, Lynyrd Skynyrd's. He opened up, finally, I think he had 3 of them, a couple at the beach and one on the west side. We were friends before that, but we weren't close friends as we got after he opened up the bar.
So I have, I think, seen you were in an interview, and it might be on YouTube, with you 2 guys together. I think you probably did several interviews too, right?
We probably did a few, yeah.
So the story is that the band Lynyrd Skynyrd tried to kill Gene in a plane crash, and then Gene was almost killed by Lynyrd Skynyrd, the namesake of the band. So that's what Gene means by Lynyrd Skynyrd, and Lynyrd Skynyrd tried to kill Gene Odom. So this is another Gene Odom story that is kind of, I found interesting.
They tried to kill me. They couldn't do it. They didn't get away with it.
So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this podcast. I believe it's 48, and this is On the Road with Gene Odom. Hope everybody enjoyed it, and
I'll see y'all next time.
See you next time.